Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start with the big story of the day, that is the entire face-off between the opposition and the government, and it's being led by two of the champions of the opposition or of the Congress party's cause, and this onslaught against the government, that is Rahul Gandhi, Congress MP, and of course the rebuttal coming from none other than the Prime Minister himself. And this was all around the vote on account of the Rashtrapati's or the President's address. Now, on Tuesday, we saw Congress MP Rahul Gandhi leading the opposition's attack against the centre and posing some questions, more importantly, laying serious allegations and charges against the NDA government. And this Wednesday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a speech that lasted over an hour, tore into the opposition and breaking into different jibes and charges, one by one. But before we get into what happened or what was spoken in Parliament, let's also show you what was seen in Parliament. It's a first. Very important, the Prime Minister wearing a light blue colour sadri jacket. Now that's his traditional political wear, many would say, but what's special? What's special is this is made from recycled plastic bottles. So giving the message about sustainability, about reduce, reuse and recycle. Interestingly, during the India Energy Week in Bengaluru, this jacket was gifted to the Prime Minister by the Indian Oil Corporation, which is using this initiative called Unbottled, and under that they are trying to manufacture fabric which can be worn out of recycled plastic. Now there are entrepreneurs also who are making recycled shoes or shoes out of recycled plastic. So cheers to that message and that effort led by the Prime Minister. Let's hope more of us adopt it. So for a cleaner, greener earth for all of us, planet for all of us. Now moving back and shifting focus back to the jibes and the attacks. What happened? Prime Minister Narendra Modi's message in Parliament. The Prime Minister, in his 85-minute long speech, launched a scathing attack against the opposition. Without taking Rahul Gandhi's name, PM Modi said that the entire ecosystem and their supporters were jubilant after a member's speech. Not just that, he also accused the parties of peddling politics of hatred and lies to derail the government's achievements. He blamed the opposition of compulsive criticism and slammed them for targeting and insulting our forces. PM Modi also said that people have faith in him because of his hard work and not because of media headlines.
ये कह के हम दिल को बहला रहे हैं, वो अब चल चुके हैं, वो अब चल चुके हैं, वो अब आ रहे हैं। तुम्हारे पांव के नीचे, तुम्हारे पांव के नीचे कोई जमीन नहीं, तुम्हारे पांव के नीचे कोई जमीन नहीं। कमाल ये है कि फिर भी तुम्हें यकीन नहीं। अगर भ्रष्टाचार की जांच हो रही है तो जांच एजेंसियों को गाली दो। अगर सेना पराक्रम करे, सेना अपना शौर्य दिखाए और वो नैरेटिव देश के जन जन के अंदर एक नया विश्वास पैदा करे, तो सेना की आलोचना करो, सेना को गाली दो। पिछले 9 साल हमने देखा है कुछ लोगों की बैंक्रप्सी को देखा है कि कंस्ट्रक्टिव क्रिटिसिज्म की जगह कंपल्सिव क्रिटिक्स ने ले ली है, और ये कंपल्सिव क्रिटिक्स इसी में डूबे हुए हैं, खोए हुए हैं। जो देशवासियों का मोदी पर भरोसा है, ये इनकी समझ के दायरे से बाहर है और समझ के दायरे से भी काफी ऊपर है। मुफ्त राशन प्राप्त करने वाले मेरे देश के 80 करोड़ देशवासी क्या कब भरोसा करेंगे क्या? आपकी गालियों को, आपके आरोपों को इन कोटि कोटि भारतीयों से होकर के गुजरना पड़ेगा, जिनको दशकों तक मुसीबतें में जिंदगी जीने के लिए तुमने मजबूर किया। और गालियों के शस्त्र से, झूठ के शस्त्रास्त्रों से इस सुरक्षा कवच को कभी तुम भेद नहीं सकते हो। वो विश्वास का सुरक्षा कवच है, इन शस्त्रों से तुम कभी भेद नहीं सकते हो। हार्वर्ड में एक बहुत बढ़िया स्टडी हुई, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट स्टडी, और वो स्टडी है, उसका टॉपिक क्या था? स्टडी है द राइज एंड डिक्लाइन ऑफ इंडिया कांग्रेस पार्टी। मुझे विश्वास है भविष्य में कांग्रेस की बर्बादी पर सिर्फ हार्वर्ड नहीं, बड़े बड़े विश्वविद्यालयों में अध्ययन होना ही होना। जिस बात को हिंदुस्तान हर पल याद रखेगा, 2014 के पहले का जो दशक था, तो लॉस्ट डेकेड के रूप में जाना जाएगा। सिवाय आरोप, गाली गलौज, कुछ भी बोल दो, लेकिन इन लोगों ने ईडी का धन्यवाद करना चाहिए कि ईडी के कारण ये लोग एक मंच पे आए। सेना अपना शौर्य दिखाएं और वो नैरेटिव देश के जन जन के अंदर एक नया विश्वास पैदा करे। तो सेना की आलोचना करो, सेना को गाली दो।
No, I'm not satisfied, but it reveals the truth. हिंदी में ये मतलब स्पीच से सच्चाई दिखती है।
So, one charge or allegation versus the response saying these allegations with no merit, no proof don't work. It's our work that we have done. The narrative of development, the opposition does not know how to counter. But the larger question is, has the Prime Minister silenced the opposition? Rahul Gandhi, the Congress MP, as he walked out of Parliament, said, I don't think so. The Prime Minister has not answered the questions, but somewhere it reflects the truth that he and perhaps some private entities are in cahoots with each other. Let's take it to the two voices from the BJP and the Congress party to see whether or not the Prime Minister has silenced the opposition. Has he answered the questions or the charges levelled by the opposition? Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP with us. Vivek Bansal, Congress leader with us. Namaste and Jai Hind to both of you. Thank you very, very much. Sanju Verma, has the Prime Minister answered the questions, or has he very smartly used his ability as a political communicator to deflect the allegations and divert the attention somewhere else, as being alleged by Mr. Jairam Ramesh?
Anand, over the last 8.5, 9 odd years since Prime Minister Modi came to power, the Congress has been making reckless allegations. It has never been able to prove any. Point number one. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi with two successive thumping majorities that you're talking of. He will decide what to speak on the floor of Parliament, when to speak and how much to speak, what to address and what not to address, as long as he's addressing the concerns of the Aam Janta, which he certainly did, leaving nothing to imagination. He brilliantly showcased, can I please finish? He brilliantly showcased the entire track record and report card of the Modi government so that, these reckless allegations fly out of the window. Point number three, let me address the elephant in the room. As the national spokesperson, let me tell you with a lot of responsibility that point number one, this whole thing about Adani ki to rank, was 621. He became the third richest. How did it happen in 8 or 9 years? Simple answer. The Adani stock price was 24 rupees in 2004 when Congress came to power. When Congress left in 2014, the Adani stock price was 497. Simple arithmetic, you don't need to be an Einstein, which means that the stock price jumped by 1,971%. Now, what was the Adani stock price high in December 2022 before the big stock market crash in the Adani stock? it was a high of 4189.55, which means that under the last Modi government's 8.5-9 odd years, the Adani stock price went up from 497 to a high of 4189, which is a increase of 743% only. If you are accusing us of helping and mollycoddling Adani because there was a 743% jump in Adani's market capitalization, I can turn around and say there was almost a 2000% jump in Adani's market capitalization during the 10 years of Congress-led UPA. So please don't, throw baseless allegations which hold no meaning.
The charge that is being leveled, or the allegation that is being leveled is not the stock price of a private company or the entity, is the support. It's the alleged tacit support or underhand, overt, covert, however the support being given by the Prime Minister himself, patronage to one particular enterprise. That's the charge. However, Vivek Bansalji, 1 minute, let me go to Vivek Bansalji. The counter to the Congress party is very simple. When you make a charge or an allegation, you can't shoot and scoot. You have to provide valid, solid grounds to back that charge, level that allegation. Otherwise, it's nothing but a baseless allegation just to annoy, just to overtly hype and draw parallels where there are none. You're trying to fuel a mirage. That will be the charge against you. Simple question is, can the Congress party or any leader prove, either on the floor of the House, in court or anywhere in public sphere, the allegation that's being made? Because it's a very serious one that's being made. It's not a frivolous one. Vivek ji.
Well, to your contention that it can be proved, there are certain things which which time itself proves, and there are certain things which are very, very obvious, and to that we are referring basically we are referring that to the fact that the patronage being extended to this particular businessman of whom Mr. Rahul Gandhi had labelled his allegations and the charges, and a submission along with that there are certain things. You see, on President's address, his answer was, he was on the one hand he was attributing, he was pointing his guns to a businessman, and he being in cahoot with the present day government dispensation. And on the other, there were other issues which are vexing the youth of this country, troubling the countrymen basically, with this price hike, with this inflation.
But so far,
there was no.
But has the disruption disruption in Parliament, and of course the demand, the walkout, and the remarks that have been expunged, they've all been expunged over charges that were made. Now you cannot shoot and scoot if you are a responsible opposition which is wanting to hold the government to account. If you make baseless charges or charges which you cannot prove, but you're just trying to create a perception, then once this perception breaks, then your credibility drops. It's a serious concern. Now, can the Congress party prove that? One. Secondly, why should the Prime Minister give credence to a charge which is baseless or which is not being backed by active proof? Or should he back his arguments based on where he can quote solid numbers and prove? Vivek ji, why is the Congress making allegations but not proving those allegations? You can draw lots of inferences, but does that mean that's true?
No, but the fact that you are constantly harping on the fact that our allegations are baseless, our submission is that Mr. Rahul Gandhi makes certain allegations, and our Honorable Prime Minister.
One second, Mr. Vivek Bansal, I am not saying the allegations are baseless. My simple submission is the allegation will be deemed to be baseless if not backed by sufficient proof or convincing enough proof. Inferences don't make the allegation stand.
They are convincing.
झूठ पे तो नहीं कोई argument खड़ा होगा. That's my point. जी.
No. They are convincing enough. The fact that in 2014 he was at number 601, and subsequently in these 9 years he's in the number 2 position. The amount of patronage being extended by our financial institutions, be it LIC, be it State Bank of India.
May I please?
To which Vivek ji, just before we start, just as I took it to the BJP, as I took the argument to the BJP, when you make this 2014 to 2021 or 2022 argument, the counter argument that's come from the BJP is that between 2004 to 2014, Sanju Verma, please repeat the charge and let Vivek Bansal answer your charge. Sanju Verma, what is it that you were saying? 2004
Yes,
to
but
2014, 24 rupees to 497 was the rise of Adani. So should that be attributed to the patronage of the UTA? That's the question the BJP is asking. Sanju Verma, correct me if I am wrong.
No, you're right. But Anand, Vivek Bansal has made many points, and I think it's only fair that I get my chance to rebut them very precisely, if you will allow.
Ji, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Please go ahead. And please yield and allow Mr. Bansal to respond to you. Yeah.
Of course.
When I say please yield, please take your time. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Anand. Anand, apart from the fact that there has been a close to 2,000% jump in Adani's market cap and stock price during the Congress-led UPA, vis-a-vis a 743% jump in the last 9 years under Narendra Modi, the most important thing is this. Point number one, Adani's commodity trading company was started in 1988 when Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister and Amar Singh Chaudhary of Congress was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Adani Enterprises, the flagship company, was set up in 1993 when Narasimha Rao of the Congress was Prime Minister. Out of the 7 publicly listed companies of Adani, only 2, Adani Wilmar, came up in 1999 under Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and in January 2016, Adani Green Energy came up. Which means 5 out of 7 publicly listed companies of Adani came up during successive Congress regimes. So how is it that you believe that the Modi government is mollycoddling Adani? Actually, it is quite contrary. We are the ones who should be saying that you have mollycoddled Adani, and who gave Adani permission to set up a 60,000 crore, 1,000 megawatt solar power plant in Rajasthan? The Congress government of Ashok Gehlot. Who allowed Adani to mine coal from the forests of Chhattisgarh? It was the
No. See, I tell you what. No. 1 minute. Let Vivek Bansal respond. Yeah.
We are not saying that Mr. Adani is persona non grata. We are not saying that. We are simply saying that there is something more than meets the eye as far as government patronage is concerned. Why? Simply listen. Just a minute.
Don't make reckless allegations. Prove your charges.
No, but
Okay. Sanju Verma, please don't. Sanju, let him respond. Let him. He held his counsel. He kept his counsel when you were making the argument. Sanju Verma ji, please yield. Please let him make his point.
Sanju
ji, please yield. Let him make his point.
At that point of time.
Prove your allegations. I dare you to prove your allegations.
Vivek ji, one minute. Vivek Bansal ji, can you adjust your frame a bit? Your face is getting half cut. If you can move a little to your left, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much, so that we can see all of you or more of you. Right now we are able to see only half of you. Thank you. And yes, now Sanju Verma, they are saying that there was undue unfair benefit that was given because of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the last 8 years, and this one particular entity benefited. The overall what the Congress is once again saying, Sanju ji, is the one question they wanted answered, the one aspect they wanted addressed, the Prime Minister skirted that issue.
Sorry, I didn't get that. What did you say, Anand?
The Prime Minister skirted that very issue. The Prime Minister said everything. That's exactly what Rahul Gandhi also said. The Prime Minister spoke about everything except answer this aspect.
Anand, let me be very clear. A couple of days back, I saw that brilliant interview by your colleague Rahul Joshi and Nirmala Sitharaman. And I think Nirmala Sitharaman as the Finance Minister spoke very pointedly when she was asked about the Adani saga. She clearly said that the BJP and Modi government has nothing to do with it. We have SEBI, which will look into stock price manipulation if there is one. We have the Ministry of Company Affairs, which will look into company-related violations if there have been any. There is the RBI, which will look into any banking-related violations if there have been any. We have a very robust regulatory system, which is not privy to the whims and fancies of a dynast, Rahul Gandhi, who is himself out on bail and refuses to accept his complicity in the National Herald stamp. Rahul Gandhi is out on bail in the National Herald stamp. So please don't lecture us on political morality. Do not lecture us on political morality.
1 minute. Just because Sanju Verma, one person has been or held by the courts as charged and then is out on bail, does it mean that person cannot accuse another of a quid pro quo or a certain level of misdemeanor? If that
who is free to do as he wishes to do?
no,
Who
it doesn't.
is free to shoot and scoop?
The
Are you
challenge
telling me
there,
Rahul
Mr.
Gandhi is
Vivek
free to
Bansal, the
shoot and
challenge
scoop?
there. No, 1 minute. The challenge there is in the case of National Herald, Mr. Vivek Bansal. So Dr. Subramanian Swamy was able to prove that there has been a certain level of misdemeanor, and the courts held that when bail was granted. I am asking you, in the case of Rafale, there was nothing that was proven on merit. There was a huge amount of song and dance that was made outside. In court, nothing was proven. Secondly, in this case again, can the Congress party prove these charges? Do they have hard, solid proof without drawing just mere inferences? Because if they don't have proof, then, sir, the loss of credibility will be for Mr. Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party. Can they make this? Can they prove this?
What I want to say is, we have made certain demand in the parliament that JPC should be constituted for that. What is holding you back? What is holding you back? Perception
My
is
simple
also
point,
very
Mr. Vivek Bansal, is that if you believe the charges that you make, if you believe the charges that you make, if you believe the charges that you make against the Prime Minister without substantiating them with proof is enough because you're drawing inferences, then let me ask you, then do you believe that the charges that are being made against the Congress party vis-a-vis its former leaders and current leaders and chief ministers and former high members of the National Advisory Committee, do you believe then those also stand true vis-a-vis the Adani group?
Exactly.
Sorry.
Do you agree? Do you believe? Because then it's got to be like to like.
I couldn't.
Sanju Verma, would you want to ask that question?
Yeah. Anand, I think, Anand, let's be very clear. You have exposed the duplicity of the Congress very clearly. And, I just have this to say that, if you go back in time, I'll take 20 seconds. I've not made this point on any debate in the last 48 hours, though I've been on umpteen on the Adani issue. In 2006, the Tata Group, Tata Steel acquired a company called Chorus, a British company, and the Tatas paid $1 to $12 billion. It was 4 times the size of the entire Tata company's balance sheet. And not once did the BJP say that were rules changed by the Congress to allow Tatas to make an acquisition abroad by flouting every prudential norm? No. That is precisely the reason Tata became the world's largest steel producer. In 2008, Tata Motors purchased from Ford Motors in England the brand, Land Rover and Jaguar for more than $2.5 billion. Again, did the BJP say that Tata Motors was allowed to make an acquisition flouting prudential norm? No. Thankfully, that is the reason today Tata Motors is one of the biggest automobile manufacturers. Why does Congress always penalize wealth creation without solid proof? Proof है तो दिखाइए, वरना चुप हो जाइए.
नहीं, proof देखिए, proof तो सामने आएगा.
Now I have to wind up. I have to wind up with only. I have to. No. बाद में नहीं. I'll tell you one thing, Vivek ji. The opposition's job is to hold the government to account, but the opposition's job is not to run the private sector and those who are creating wealth for the country, run them aground. That is not the job of any responsible Indian, because we need the private sector to create wealth, because only when they create wealth will they create opportunities and will they create jobs and will they create a better future for Bharat. So there is a very intrinsic bandhan or bond between all of that bond, that's the right word, and we cannot derail that just because we believe that this is going to help us politically or get us perhaps some swipes at one whom we consider our biggest political adversary or nemesis. I'm just very humbly requesting you that we should not be as Indians celebrating if there are international entities who want to run Indian private companies and wealth creators aground. We should actually mobilize ourselves as a nation and say, you dare not do that with our companies. Yes, if there is any misdemeanor, misappropriation, if there is playing with public funds and you can prove the charge, please prove it in court and hold them to account. That's what we should do responsibly. Not what is playing out right now, where the charges are not being backed with basis. You have to have basis. I have to wind up on that note. Thank you very, very much, Sanju Verma and Vivek Bansal. Quickly moving on, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another major development here on The Right Stand, where after major standoff Over the Chinese spy balloon, US President Joe Biden has warned China and said that if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act, and we did. And amid the face-off between China and the United States, the Washington Post has carried a report that claims that China has been operating a fleet of spy balloons targeting several nations, including India and Japan, for several years. According to this report, in the Washington Post, US Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman reportedly briefed representatives from 40 embassies on the spying issue. Now, this is what was said. And the real question is, did these Chinese spy balloons target India? Surveillance balloon effort operated for several years, has what been claimed, this report claims. Collected information on military assets in India, Japan and Taiwan. Surveillance airships operated by PLA spotted over 5 continents. Fleet of balloons developed to conduct surveillance operations. As per the report, these balloons have violated sovereignty of other nations too. Now, very, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, that not so long ago, there were unconfirmed reports that came out to also claim these very claims that this has happened soon after a services exercise in the Indian Ocean off the coast of India. Although the Indian Armed Forces or the Indian government never confirmed or denied these reports, but these reports did appear sometime in Jan-Feb 2022. Professor Brahma Chalani, Strategic Affairs expert, with us at this point. Professor Brahma Chalani, namaste. Now, does this lend credence to those reports which were never validated? Because this is a proper, formal briefing where this is being said. And what does this then imply?
To put it in some context, the Biden administration is on the defensive. It's facing the heat at home from critics who ask as to why the Chinese spy balloon was allowed to traverse the United States from Alaska to South Carolina over 4 days and transfer valuable intelligence back home to China without that balloon being shot down. How did Biden allow this reconnaissance airship to traverse American airspace for so long, and he waited until it was offshore before ordering it to be downed? It could have been downed over sparsely populated Alaska or Montana, for example, but it was allowed to travel across the United States and collect intelligence on sensitive facilities of the US, and only belatedly was it shot down. Had it been shot down on land, it would have been easier to collect the debris also and examine what kind of equipment it was carrying. So in that context, what we are seeing is Biden administration offering one explanation after another as to why it did not shoot down that airship earlier. So now we have some anonymous sources being quoted by the Washington Post as saying that even India and Japan have been targeted. Let's be clear that China does have a vast aerial surveillance system in place. It engages in aggressive aerial surveillance, and I'm sure against India too. But to say that Chinese balloon or balloons have actually invaded Indian airspace in the past would be a claim that that is not backed by any credible evidence, because any kind of airship that enters Indian airspace...
It's not, because the report said that they did see something like this, and there are other nations also who have said this, Professor Brahmacharya. Interestingly, these spy balloons fly at great heights, at more than 42,000 feet. That was what a News18.com report also had very clearly said, that these balloons fly at a height that even our supersonic jets do not fly at that height. They go at up to maximum 35 to 38,000 feet, but these fly higher than that. Now, at that height, what is it that they can map, is many people are questioning. How is it that these balloons can be thus controlled, that their flight path can be so accurate? The Chinese themselves claim that they all went astray. They lost control. They have actually sacked somebody very senior, a very senior official within the PLA for this entire goof up which has happened and this entire spy balloon being caught. But can we put it past them that they will not resort to this? This is a World War II technique. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, the balloons may be of World War II vintage, but these are balloons that are operating with artificial intelligence. They are carrying highly sophisticated equipment. So the balloon itself, the platform itself may look quite old, but it has very sophisticated reconnaissance technology on board. And it's paradoxical that not one but two such airships of China have been over Americas, one over North America, another over South America. And by Chinese admission, these balloons have limited self-piloting capability. So if they have limited self-piloting capability, how did they go astray thousands of kilometers from their due course? If they have some capability of it, to course correct, how could they go off track by, let's say, something like 10,000 kilometers? So there is more to it than meets the eye, and certainly the Chinese claim that these are civilian airships, that they are weather related, obviously carries no credence.
But can we put it past them that they will not resort to it again? And what are the countermeasures? If we do not want these spy balloons, do we have, or do nations have this technology, or do we have to just wait till they come down within radar sight or at altitudes where they can be spotted?
It's a good question, Anand. First, it's a watershed moment for the US. But it's also a wake-up call for others, including India, Japan, and countries that are targeted by China, that these balloons should be taken very seriously, that these balloon platforms are being driven by artificial intelligence, that they're transmitting data back home, and that any kind of intrusion by a Chinese balloon should be dealt with as a priority, as an urgent matter, and that balloon should be shot down. It should be downed as soon as it is discovered, rather than being allowed to traverse airspace across thousands of kilometers. In that sense, I think this balloon episode over the United States has been very useful. It is a wake-up call for American policymakers. It has awakened the American public to the fact that the biggest threat the U.S. faces today is not from a declining Russia, but from a rising China that is increasingly willing to take major risks, even against the world's most powerful nation. So that's the reason why India has to be on full guard against Chinese reconnaissance activities. And we have seen the Chinese being quite good at reconnaissance, even in terms of human intelligence, in terms of penetrating various institutions. In the United States, we have seen that, and certainly India is quite vulnerable to Chinese reconnaissance, and therefore India has to develop robust countermeasures.
No, fair point, Professor Brahmachalani. In fact, I have people who are also telling me, experts watching the broadcast, saying that why the Chinese prefer these balloons over satellites. Many would say you have satellites, use the spy satellites. These balloons seem to have a longer range of hovering ability. So they can hover over a particular region for far longer, and that's why mapping of that area and taking perhaps greater number of photographs in detail is also possible, or imagery in detail is also possible over a certain topography, but because the satellites cannot hover for such a long time. That's what they're saying. Thank you for your inputs. We've just got to move, Professor Brahmachalani. We've got more news coming through, so getting a move on here on this edition of The Right Stand, and this is with the Tehreek-e-Taliban making this huge claim. It's a big revelation coming in from the TTP about Pakistan security agencies and the Pakistan army. Now, sources are telling CNN News 18 that the TTP has denied any involvement in the murder plot of Imran Khan. Our investigations editor Manoj Gupta getting us these details through sources within Pakistan and mainly within the PTI. TTP in a statement has said, and this statement is actually, we have in possession the statement, the letter that's come in from the TTP. We've got that in our possession too. TTP in a statement has said that Imran Khan is claiming in his party meetings that Tehreek-e-Taliban personnel from North Waziristan have been hired to kill him. The TTP has claimed that names of Imran Khan and the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan are being used as matter of a conspiracy or propaganda by the Pakistani secret agencies. Sources are saying that the TTP has alleged that the army and secret agencies are making propaganda against them and Imran Khan for their vested interests, as they have done it even in the past. So it's not something which is a new aspect, and the TTP has come out outrightly claiming that this is a farce. But what is the implication of such a claim? Now that's what is the bigger exclusive. So the next aspect is what sources are now saying. If this is true, that the TTP is not involved, then what does this imply? So former Pak Prime Minister Imran Khan has also now claimed that he was wrong in giving an extension to General Bajwa and has called it a blunder. Imran Khan has claimed that ex-Chief of Army Staff Qamar Javed Bajwa acquired the services of former Pakistani ambassador to the US Hussain Haqqani to lobby against him in the United States. PTI chairman Imran Khan has also lambasted the postings and transfers in Punjab following the dissolution of the Provincial Assembly, saying that such people were being appointed who were involved in violence. Now, during the party's May 25th Long March, now Imran Khan has said that ties with General Bajwa were strained when the latter demanded an NRO for the political opponents. He said that he wanted to give the new army chief the benefit of doubt, and if there is any message from the army chief, he would let the media know about it. But he says we don't have any direct communication with the new army chief, Asim Munir. So that's the big development that has now come through, where Imran Khan is coming out and claiming that Qamar Javed Bajwa, it was a mistake to give him an extension. Now, mind you, when that extension was given for 3 years, that act also put paid the chances of about 20 or 21 lieutenant generals, 2 scores, or 20 or 21 lieutenant generals in the Pakistani army whose careers were put paid because of that extension. So there was a lot of dissonance within the Pakistani army too when Qamar Javed Bajwa got that extension. Meanwhile, now PTI sources are saying that if this claim is being made by the TTP, it will have huge ramifications, because then it goes back to the ruling disposition and the current military establishment as to are they plotting an assassination of Imran Khan. So we'll have to wait and watch what happens there. Quickly moving on, ladies and gentlemen, turning the spotlight back closer home to the latest on the Shraddha Aftab case, the murder of Shraddha Walkar. In a Right Stand exclusive, we have now accessed the charge sheet. The charge sheet into the entire case of Aftab brutally murdering Shraddha and then butchering her, and then throwing off her remains into the jungle somewhere in and around the national capital. Shraddha Walkar murder case. The charge sheet has been filed by the Delhi police on the 24th of January. It runs into 6,629 pages. The charge sheet was filed 75 days after the probe began into the murder. Court has taken cognizance, and on the 7th of Feb, the matter now has been listed for hearing on the 21st of this month. The accused Aftab was actually arrested on the 12th of November 2022. Now, what does this charge sheet say? It's a murder most foul, and the charge sheet very clearly details how Aftab killed Shraddha. Plus, Aftab's friend from Dubai was the reason behind their fights. Aftab assaulted Shraddha after forcing her to take leaves from office. On the 18th of May 2022, Aftab killed Shraddha and cut her body into multiple pieces. Aftab used a saw and 3 blades to cut Shraddha's body. He shifted the body to the bathroom and cut it into 17 pieces on day 1. Aftab got a cut on his hand while chopping the body. After the murder, he actually dated another girl using a dating app. He brought her into that same house while Shraddha's remains were still there. That's what the charge sheet says. Aftab kept Shraddha's body parts in the refrigerator, stored the body parts in the kitchen cabinet when the friend visited, gifted Aditi a ring he had earlier gifted to Shraddha. So he gifted this girlfriend a ring that he had earlier gifted it to Shraddha. Aftab tried to mislead the police by giving false statements, kept Shraddha's Bumble account active even after murder. He used Shraddha's credit card to buy a ring for his sister He used shopping apps to buy a trash bag, cleaning material. He then bought a briefcase to dispose the body parts of, but later then he dropped the plan. Aftab then exchanged phones several times and erased all his data. So he tried to keep erasing his data footprints, but that's where it didn't stop there. Now, Aftab was a fan of crime and murder series, and he followed some of them very, very closely. Now, here's what he did. He chopped Shraddha up into multiple pieces, 3 pieces each of the hand, 3 pieces of the leg, 3 pieces of the head. He chopped the legs, hands and the head into 3 pieces each. He cut the torso up into 3 pieces. He cut the pelvic region into 2 pieces and 2 pieces of the thumb. This is as per the Delhi police charge sheet, and then he tried to dispose of them one by one. Now, all the items that he bought to try and put paid to his diabolical plan. He bought a toilet cleaner, bleach, 3 bottles of it, chopping board and a chopper, hand wash, glass cleaner, knife, trash bag, fridge, big red briefcase, hammer, 1 saw, 3 blades. So 11 items that have been listed as per the Delhi police charge sheet that's been filed. Now, where did he dispose of the body and what did he do? He disposed of the mobile phone, credit card and debit cards. They were thrown at a Bhayandar Creek in Mumbai. Then the head, both forearms, were disposed of in Delhi, in Chhatarpur Enclave. In the jungle, the intestines were thrown at 60 Futa Road in Chhatarpur Pahadi region in the national capital. The fingers were disfigured with a blowtorch to erase the fingerprints. So he used a blowtorch to erase the fingerprints, melt this portion of the fingers, dispose that off in the Chhatarpur Pahadi region. Parts of the thigh and the pelvic region were thrown in a jungle near a drain. The thumb was disposed of near the wall in the dhan mill. Hair, clothes, etc. were thrown in a dustbin placed in the Chhatarpur Pahadi area, and saw and a chopper was thrown in the Ayanagar area near MG Road in Gurugram. So from Mumbai, that is a Bhayandar Creek, to different parts of Delhi and around the area that he resided, and also some places far away, he chopped her remains into pieces, tried to destroy evidence to the level that he could, and then went ahead and dumped these body parts, scattered them all across the place so that no evidence or no trace could be found. This is all as per the Delhi police charge sheet, ladies and gentlemen. Now, so far, the police are yet to recover. What are the things that the cops still need to recover? Shraddha Walkar's skull is still missing. The saw and the 3 blades that were used to chop the body, the chopper that were used to dismember the body, they are still missing. Her mobile phone, debit and credit cards which have been dumped into the creek, they are still missing. But as you read through the details, it's bone-chilling and spine-chilling to see how diabolical this person was and how he got so caught up in the act after he'd strangled her. And from May till November, nobody got to know till his arrest. He was able to think that he could get away with a murder most foul. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we come back, we turn the spotlight towards quick hit Turkey and Syria region. The world is uniting and India is stepping up. India is stepping up the relief aid. We'll get you all the details even as the death toll is now inching towards 12,000. Stay with us.